Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are calling for accountability after the chaotic exit from Afghanistan left hundreds of Americans behind. Let's bring in Congressman McCaul. He's a ranking member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. You predicted, Congressman, a week ago that there was not enough time to get all of the people in Afghanistan out who wanted to get out by the deadline. You were right. So your thoughts on where we are today as the deadline approaches of midnight. We pass that very soon, and the fact that there's nobody left in Afghanistan to get anybody out at this point.
Well, that's right, John. And as I predicted weeks ago on this show, this president will have blood on his hands. And we had 13 servicemen come home and drape coffins at Dover Air Base. Very tragic. And it didn't have to happen if we'd been prepared for this. We warned back in May of the consequences. Now they are left behind. We have left Americans behind. I came back up here with Leader McCarthy and a bunch of veterans to have a resolution on the floor to get these Americans home. We got gavelled down by the Speaker Pro Tem. Pelosi wasn't even here, and silenced. But we have to, that's the American value. It's the American system, the military, to bring every American home, and those like Mohammed, the one you talked about, who saved us and our fighting forces over there. We have a moral obligation to save them. I have one story as well. Last weekend, I was on the phone constantly with high levels at DOD, State, and White House. We had 4 buses from the university of schoolgirls, their choir, the choir group that would perform around in other countries. They're all orphans, adopted by the university, and they sat outside that checkpoint, outside the gate. They got through the Taliban, but our own United States government would not allow them in the gates of the airport. And after waiting for a solid day, they turned them around and sent them back to the Taliban, where they're going to be enslaved. It is one of the saddest stories when it involves young, innocent girls, but to leave Americans, our partners, and young girls behind is un-American, and I think there needs to be a price to be paid for it.
You know, Congressman, what do you want to hear from the president this afternoon? Because not too long ago, he did pledge that every American or eligible Afghan who wanted to get out would likely get out. That did not come to pass. We don't know how many are left behind. It may be 100, it may be 200, it may be more. What do you want to hear from the president?
Well, I'd like to hear how he's going to do it. Here's the deal. It got so bad. Our government was so inept at this evacuation. State Department led it. It wasn't the IC, the intelligence community was right. Our military did a fantastic job, but because it was so ill prepared, we had active duty and veterans on their own, going off on these task force missions. Some called Dunkirk, some called Pineapple. This is all going to come out. It's just starting to break right now. We were dealing with these rogue organizations, if you will, that decided that, you know what, this isn't working, and we're going to do this on our own to save American lives and our partners. And so they did, and they did. They saved thousands of lives because our American government was so incompetent in this evacuation. That's a very sad story. We will be conducting oversight because we want answers to these questions.
All right. This tale has not yet fully been told. We'll continue to watch the halls of Congress to see what happens. Congressman McCaul of Texas, thank you for joining us. Sandra?
John, let's bring in our team of reporters.